The Early Weigh-In podcast is back. On the Saturday, we head down to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where Rio's own Charles Oliveira is taking on Mateus Gamrot, lightweight main event. And in our co-main event, former champion Davison Figueiredo taking on the surging Montel Jackson. After losing Walter Walker, Muhammad Usman just a minute ago, we are down to just 12 fights on the card. Always excited to have some fights, though, man, to look into. As always, going to be transparent. Breakdown last week, 0.95 unit loss for me. Night started really good. Hit a 1.5 unit parlay with Basharat and Soriano with pretty dominant decisions. And it ended really good, hitting the under 4.5 rounds at plus 100 in the main event. Ended in the first round pretty quickly. Where things went wrong, my dog shots, man. Money line shot at plus 310 on Sandhagen. I guess covered the line. Didn't cash for me, though. And then a boost. Clear round one for him at plus 200. And then what I'm most salty about, though, man, Patchy Mix, sure, probably didn't cover minus 275, but I did think that fight was pretty easy to score with the control he had in rounds 2 and 3. Surprised it was even a split, much less a Wicklax win. Difference in a positive night for me there. So, a little bit salty, but minus 0.95 units. It's nothing we can't get back this week, man. Hand it over to you. I think pretty similar night.
Yeah, minus 1.07 units. Started off the night great. Ramiz Brahimaj over Austin Vanderford for plus 2.5 units. Dropped the first round, so I was a little worried, but you can kind of tell that was Vanderford's best effort, and Ramiz was starting to pick up on it. When he landed that head kick, I was super surprised that Vanderford ate that, so good on him for toughness, but I was glad that we didn't have to go to the judges' scorecards for that one. Then I had one of the bigger bets of my year, to be honest with you, like 2.5, little over 2.5 units is about as big as I go for any one single bet. I really liked the way that Ju Sung Yu looked in tape. I thought that the distance that he was going to keep against Daniel Santos was really going to play a huge factor. And for the time that he was alive, it did. I thought that he was doing really well on the feet, was outpointing him, doing what I expected. But certainly the showboating didn't help at all. He left his chin exposed and ended up getting tagged. So that was a huge hit to my night. And then Corey Sandhagen, I think arguably 2-2 going into the fifth at plus 350. I'm not upset with that at all. I'm happy that we both played it, and I think we'd do it again. But honestly, I got to quit doubting Murad. I've lost a lot of money on him. So moving forward, I think I'll probably just avoid fading him. Minus 1.07 units, and like you said, nothing we can't come back from. Moving on to the first fight of the night, we have Simon Oliveira taking on Luan Lacerda. Truth be told, I don't think that we've had the opportunity to see the best of either of these fighters. They've had really tough matchups coming into the UFC. And I think that this one's going to be the best fight that we can judge both of them on. In this fight, I think that Simon Oliveira is going to have a power advantage. I think if he can keep this fight on the feet, it's going to be very close. But I do think that he's going to have trouble with Luan Lacerda's grappling. Luan's going to look to take him down. But I just can't justify the price tag, as we have not seen either of these in a fair fight yet. Even the Cody Stamann fight, I think that one's weighing a lot on people's decision just because he was able to make it close. But that's an over-the-hill Cody Stamann, and I don't put much value into that performance. So I'm leaning dog or pass here. Probably pass for me, though. Much better opener than the last card, though, so I'm not too upset with it. I think it'll be a good fight. Maybe fight ends by knockout is how I'm kind of looking.
Yeah, I think we have violence in our first fight as well. But for me, it's honestly favored or pass. Lacerda in a parlay or pass. I don't think too highly of Simon Oliveira. I compare him to Claudio Puelles when he first came into the UFC. Not a lot of process to his game, kind of gasses out, but at least once or twice in a fight, he's going to find himself he's going to put you in a precarious position. He's going to find himself close to a knee bar, find himself on a guillotine. If you're able to work through that, man, he does slow down. A lot of spinning attacks that waste the energy. I think Lacerda can find his way on top. I think down the stretch, Lacerda's honestly live to finish this guy. I think fight doesn't go the distance. Might even be a better look than just Lacerda money line, as it's pretty close to the same price. So, but I think you made a great point about both these guys actually getting an opportunity to showcase their skills, as they're both been kind of, the competition they faced so far was guys they're pretty much never going to beat. So it is kind of a good spot to sit back and just watch rather than lay the chalk on Luan. I think he's a pretty clear side for me personally, though. Moving on up, a fight I'm going to stay pretty brief about: Julia Polastri taking on Carolina Kowalkiewicz. Julia Polastri, round 3 against Lupita last time, was nasty to watch, man. It was almost like Yuri against Khalil last week, man. Like, she's just walking Loopy down, just nasty knees, sitting down on her counter shots. I like what I see from this girl, man. Carolina at 40 years old, I just, I hate to read too much into the narrative, but it's writings on the wall here, man. I'm sending the 40-year-old down here to fight Polastri in Brazil, who had a phenomenal showing and a loss last time out. So I think Polastri's got a ton of top time advantage, the way better striker, and Carolina's upside is outstriking her to probably a relatively close decision in Brazil, where all the big moments are on the side of Julia. So line's crazy, but it's another one where I think Julia's the clear favorite, and I don't have any interest betting KK at this point in her career.
Yeah, so I don't really have anything to add to it. I think KK's over the hill. I was, surprised that she still looked decent in her last few. Like, I thought that she was super done a couple years ago, and she's still able to hang. So props to her. I mean, she's always been a tough fighter, but I do think that she's kind of in over her head here. Physicality disadvantage, and I think that that's going to play a huge factor in it. So, Polastri, I'm not betting it, though. Just Polastri's not high level enough for me to be betting. So just a layoff spot for me. Moving up to the flyweight division, we have Lucas Rocha taking on Stuart Nicholl. Let's see. So with Rocha, his first fight in the UFC against Clayton Carpenter, another, we'll talk about Clayton Carpenter later on in the card, but another pretty decent prospect. I don't think that Stuart Nicholl would have much success against Clayton Carpenter either. Clayton's really good at getting it to the ground, and when he does, he's good at cinching up the chokes. I do think that this is a spot where I'd be looking to bet Rocha, just because I think that this is going to be a close fight, and all of the upside when it goes to decision, I tend to think that they're going to lean Brazilian fighters. So I haven't seen enough from Stuart Nicholl to bet him. I haven't seen enough from Lucas Rocha to bet him. This is just not a spot on the card I'm looking to attack unless you have some strong opinion on it. Rocha is what I lean, but it's simply because of where we are. Don't have much to add for this one.
So you said it, man. Leaning the Brazilians. Rocha side, Rocha decision, plus 500 in a flyweight fight, man, where I think he's got the advantages on the feet. I do think he's going to get grounded here, which is my biggest concern. I do think Nicholl's got a pretty decent ground game, and up until falling victim to the Jesus Aguilar guillotine, I mean, he looked pretty good. His grappling looked pretty good, and so I do think Rocha's going to get grounded at points, probably multiple times in this fight, and that's kind of what's stopping me from playing his money line. Now, people are kind of played the Nicholl line all week, so if Rocha touches plus money, it's a different story. But at plus 500 in a flyweight fight in Brazil, where he's going to have the advantages on the feet, Nicholl's only been finished by a guillotine. I don't know, man. That's the prop that's been calling my name, so probably see that for a half unit or something on my card, as I've only got one play locked in right now. So looking at a bit more in Rocha decision plus 500, something I've been eyeing. Moving up the card, we got Irina Alekseeva taking on Beatrice Mosqueda. Another one, man, where Beatrice is legit on the mat. This girl's tapped out Mackenzie Dern, in the gi. She's a legit grappler, and Alekseeva loves to play around in the grappling. And if you're going to get out grappled by Claudia Segula, I know you're going to get out grappled by Beatrice, So I don't know. Alekseeva doesn't really have the best gas tank and has very bad fight IQ. And yeah, I definitely never lay this price on Mosqueda, but I understand it. I understand why she's a big favorite. I think she gets to her dominant positions. It's just, is she going to finish it or not? And gun in my head, I think she does. So I'll pick Mosquito inside the distance, Mosquito sub.
I mean, I think the line's pretty wide, man. Obviously, after the last performance from Alexieva, I'm not excited about playing her. She just looked like she was defeated mentally, honestly. And then you look at the behind the scenes stuff that she was dealing with. It makes sense that she might just not be in it anymore. I'm curious to see weigh-ins, look at her intensity and everything. But I think Mosquito is a little overrated, man. We've seen plenty of girls like her. Now, admittedly, she is the highest level of grappler that you can get. I'm just not sure how successful she's going to be against bigger UFC caliber women. And if Alexieva can keep this fight on the feet, I think that there's a really good shot that she wins. It's just a matter of if she's going to be able to. But Mosquito is, one path to victory or bust, in my opinion. And it might not be Alexieva, but I think that her time is coming pretty soon in the UFC. Only 5 fights. Like I said, Alexieva might not be the girl to do this fade on, but if this line continues to increase and I see +5 anything on Alexieva, I'm willing to bet on the debutante slipping on a banana peel, not being able to get the fight to the ground, just realizing that this is a different caliber of fighters that she's facing in the UFC, and dropping the ball as a -700 favorite debutante. So
seen it before.
Yeah, absolutely, and higher level too. We've seen it before. This is low level women. So
I was trying to think of who come to because we've had a couple high level jiu-jitsu people, like gi people come over. Rodolfo Vieira, he's gassed out before. Jacqueline Amarim, same thing, And so we've seen it before.
We got one more that I'm really thinking of, and it's not.
It's another girl, right?
Yeah, it's a girl.
Yeah. Talita Alencar.
Talita Alencar. Yes, exactly right.
Yeah. So, we've seen it, man. We've seen these high-level gi girls come over here who've run through girls, and it just not be the same. I think Alexieva's going to give her the fight that she wants,
Probably so, but if the line just gets out of hand, I'll do it because I'll do it every single time, and I think in the long run I'll be profitable. So Alexieva or pass, but I am curious to see how Mosquito looks with UFC caliber women, even though Alexieva might not be that. All right, moving on to the heavyweight division. Victor Petrino taking on Thomas Peterson. Tough fight for old Tommy Peterson, man. He's going to look to get this fight to the ground, and I think that Victor Petrino in his last few performances, he looks like a pure striker, but that dude is also amazing on the ground, and I think that that's exactly the round that he's going to beat Thomas Peterson in. Thomas Peterson, he's probably immediately going to attempt a takedown and then realize that Petrino is so much stronger than him. And I think Petrino will wind up in a more dominant position, wind up on top. And I think Thomas Peterson is tough enough to not get ground and pounded, and it'll eventually will give up some type of submission. So Petrino by submission is kind of how I'm looking at this. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he just gets on top and starts wearing him out either. But give me Petrino by submission, and I think it's something stupid like +500 or 600 or something like that. So
550 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think that that's the spot. I think that he wins this. I think the line's justified, and I think he wins it inside the distance quite a bit of the time. And I think with somebody as big as Thomas Peterson and as tough as he is, that wrapping up the submission is going to be the path of least resistance. So give me that +550.
Yeah, Thomas Peterson is a walking punching bag, and unfortunately for his game, he has to close the distance. He has to get close and needs the clinch, needs the takedowns, and I think Vitor is going to beat him to the punch so much faster, hits harder, and like you said, man, Vitor being the 205 just recently becoming a heavyweight, I think when these guys clinch up, that Vitor is going to be the stronger man. And if Peterson gets Petrino down, I think Petrino can work back to the feet. If Petrino gets Peterson on his back, I think it's a round, if maybe not the sub, And so I feel pretty confidently Petrino gets this done either Yeah, I don't know if it's inside the distance or he just top times. And Petrino's a weird fighter, man. I felt like the trajectory of him used to be extremely high, and then he goes out there and gets slept a couple times. And sometimes he's a little bit more patient as well. It takes him till what was it, round 3 to submit Prochnow, I think it was, and so, or
Mhm.
yeah, Prochnow, and yeah, that's what exactly it was. So I mean, sometimes he's patient. He went to decision with Turkali, so I'm not so sure it's inside the distance, but I like Petrino and considered a Petrino Oliveira Lacerda doesn't go the distance parlay, something along the lines of that, as another play for myself. Moving up the card, maybe the best fight on the card, honestly, for me, skill wise. I think both these guys are very, very legit. We got Jahel Filo taking on Clayton Carpenter at 125. Both of these guys really like to grapple, and if that's negated, I think I favor Jao Filo on the feet. I think he's a little bit more versatile, has a little bit more knockout power and things to his game. And early on, as physical as he is, man, I think he's live to win round 1 at such a high clip that it's hard for me to not say Jao Filo's the side here. I've seen this guy get to dominant positions on really, really good grapplers before, like, Muhammad Makayev. And I feel like while Clayton Carpenter's a really good prospect, I just feel like he's just got a guy in front of him who's the better jiu-jitsu grappler and just a lot stronger in those positions. And so Phil Ho's the side for me, man. This is one where I've kind of bounced back and forth all week because Carpenter might be as live to win round 3 as Phil Ho is to win round 1. And so things get tricky, but I'm on the Phil Ho side ever so slightly. He is still plus money, which is also tempting to stay away from. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I really like Phil Ho. I've bet him in most of his fights, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was pretty upset with the Alon Nascimento fight because I think I was a couple units deep on him, but I do agree with the decision. Like there were some key moments where he just didn't capitalize. So I understand it, but even if Clayton Carpenter gets it on the ground, I know he has all the accolades, but Rafael Fieldhouse has proven himself against some of the best guys in the world. Amir Albazi in a grappling match. I like some of the work that he's been able to do in the UFC. Rune could choke over Osborne and Barres. And then even Muhammad Mukayev, like that was almost a win, So if Clayton Carpenter is able to get to his positions on the ground, I still think that we have a pretty good shot of winning. And then you touched on the fact that Fieldhouse, because he doesn't care if he gets taken to the ground, he takes more shots on the feet because he's not worried about getting taken down. So I lean Fieldhouse as well. It does seem like that line's coming back. People are starting to wisen up. So yeah, I'm on Rafael Fieldhouse as an underdog as well.
Nice.
Probably find me a unit at least on it,
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, but I like Fieldhouse for sure. Moving on to the main card opener, Lucas Almeida taking on Michael Aswell. We get to see Aswell at 145 pounds after making his debut against Balaji Oki. If he can keep that same amount of volume at 145 pounds, I think that he's going to offer a lot of trouble for Lucas Almeida. I've bet Lucas Almeida a couple of times, and he lets me down more often than he
Right.
doesn't. He's got a little quit in him as well,
Yeah.
and I feel like somebody like Aswell with the volume that he's putting up is kind of the perfect fighter to expose that. So this is Aswell or pass for me, and I just hate how the line, I'm having to lay a little juice on him without having seen him in the UFC at this weight class. So it's a pass for me. But if the Lucas Almeida side gets bet up more, I'd be more than happy to play Aswell at like minus 120. I just don't know if we're going to see that line.
Yeah, I kind of think I hold the same sentiment, man. Um, we hadn't seen him at 145. He's flying down to Brazil, and he doesn't he's got volume, but he doesn't have a lot of knockout power to deter people. So, while he's got a crazy chin, I still feel like Almeida is the one that might land the more damaging shots, might be the one that hurts the other, and so I'm hesitant to lay the juice on him as well. But I do think that volume, if it replicates itself, he has potential to drown Lucas, man.
Yeah, what if you guaranteed me this fight gets into round 3 and goes to decision, I'm betting as well and I'm laying the juice on him too.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Lucas is a guy, like you said, has a little bit of quit in him, needs his space to work, I think. And if Aswell doesn't give that to him and gets in his face, yeah, chalk may be warranted, man. I'd love for it to get bet down as well or pass for me. I agree with you. Staying in the same weight class, Ricardo Ramos taking on Con Offley. I personally don't think too high of Con Offley. I think his best chances of winning here are grappling, and I don't think he's a better grappler, man. On the feet, I think Ramos isn't the most durable guy. Don't get me wrong, but I do think he's a much better striker here. He's super creative. We've seen Con Offley put out before, and Ricardo Ramos is just as dangerous with his submission game if Offley's not careful trying to get this fight down to the mat. I don't think personally that I'd ever lay 2-1 on Ricardo Ramos when he showed me that he definitely has quit in him, but Con Offley's just not the side for me, man. I feel like this is Ricardo Ramos and probably Ricardo Ramos inside the distance.
No, man, you were so close. You were right there, man. I think Con Offley kind of is the guy who will embrace that grind, continue to try. And like you said, I think there'll be some tight moments where, like Ramos does have him in a compromising position, but outside of I feel like it's kind of disingenuous to say a fluke submission from Ramos, but outside of that, I think Con Offley could really take over here. He has the output that I like. He has the willingness to stick with a game plan, and I think how to beat Ramos, and that's just breaking him down. And Con Offley, even though he's not the most high caliber fighter, I think he has the style that pairs well against somebody like Ramos, who's looking for a way out a lot of the time in his fights. So, it's not one I'm like super proud of betting, but I'll probably be on the Offley side. And, Ramos at -170, and the comeback on Offley, wasn't enough. It was like whatever, +130 or something like that. But now it's getting up into the +170s, +180s.
Yeah,
and it's forcing my hand,
Right. Yeah.
So maybe Offley straight up, especially if I can get to like that +175 mark. But Offley by decision, I think that's a pretty safe bet. You have that up on what that looks like?
Offley decision. You said Offley decision?
Mm-hmm.
400 on DraftKings.
Yeah, 440 on 440. FanDuel, I think. That looks good to me, man. Like I really think that there's a good chance that this fight goes longer, over 2.5. It's shaded to the over 2.5, yeah. -145. And then fight goes the distance, it's -110 pick 'em. So if you're flipping a coin, I know this fight goes to decision. I kind of like Offley, and so +440, I think that there's value there for sure.
Nice.
Moving up to the heavyweight division, Jonathan Deniz versus Mario Pinto. I was kind of upset. I thought that I had drafted Mario Pinto, but I think I had him last quarter as opposed to this one. I like the Mario Pinto side here, man. And I mean, I think that Pinto is, a little bit bigger. I think he has better boxing. He might not have better striking, but I think he has better boxing. I think he hits a little bit harder. And then all the upside for the grappling. I like him here. I mean, I know it's a slight dog, and that's kind of like my Achilles heel. I can't help it. But, man, I think that there's upside for Mario Pinto here. And Jonathan Deniz has kind of been exposed in the past. And I know it's been against much higher caliber fighters, but Pinto, if he chooses to show a little bit of that grappling, I'm thinking 1 round, 2 rounds of close striking, and then 1 clear round for Mario Pinto if he decides to add in the grappling, which is enough to get a win on the scorecards for me. So Mario Pinto is my pick.
At plus money, I think I would have to agree. but I don't care to get involved here. I haven't seen Mario Pinto grapple, where I had seen Marcin Tibera grapple plenty of people. I hadn't seen it at a Pinto's game. Um, where Denise was taken down by Austin Lane and stuff. Pinto was hurt on the feet and things, and well, you like to see a guy come back from adversity and things, and it was his debut. I'd like to give him a pass. I've seen him hurt on the feet by lesser strikers, and I do agree with you. He's a better boxer. I think he's the better, more athletic guy, the faster guy. But I'm just afraid that in the pocket, technicality could get him in trouble here. I feel like a couple calf kicks could get him a bit stationary here as well. And so it's in Brazil as well, and so there's a couple things that I'm just not eager to get involved. But if I had to pick a side, it's 1,000% dogger pass, and it's Mario Pinto, and I'd love to see him to come out here and grapple for the first time because I think it's a absolute easy path to victory against Johanna Denise. Moving up 170, we got Vicente Luque taking on Joel Alvarez, making his 170 debut after missing at 155 time and time again. I personally just don't think Vicente can take it anymore. I think he's willing to get in there and bang and brawl. I don't think the body can take it anymore. And Joel at 170, I kind of feel like is going to be able to take it. He's definitely there to be hit. We've seen his takedown defense be, yeah, it. We've seen Casey wrestle a lot of people. We've seen Armin wrestle a lot of people. So I don't want to go out there and just say that his takedown defense is garbage, but at 155, it was a way that you could beat this guy. And so maybe healthy at 170, it's not as easy, but maybe it's even easier because these guys are stronger at 170. I don't really know. And when I've seen holes in the game like that, I don't really want to lay minus 500, minus 550 on him. But I don't know if there's a number, man, that I play Vicente Luque at with the things that he's shown me. We've talked about it multiple times. That Buckley fight is, you might as well have told me he threw the fight, man. So I don't think he can take it. I think he's potentially thrown a fight before. And so, yeah, line's absolutely nuts. But Joel Alvarez is super dangerous, and I feel like he's probably going to hurt Vicente and lock up some type of guillotine or front choke. So Alvarez inside the distance for me, man. Probably pretty early.
What's the only way that Luque wins this fight?
Probably decision. I don't think he finishes him. Does he?
I don't know. I mean, I think his front lock series is kind of crazy. Like, he can catch anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Fight ends by sub?
Yeah, fight ends by sub plus 130. You got fight ends inside the distance minus 550. Yeah. You can get either side by sub at plus 130. They don't know how Alvarez is going to finish. His TKO is plus 155 and his submission is plus 165.
Yeah.
Only 30 points, you can get the other side's, in my opinion, most likely way to win. And that's, if he does show up and we get Joel Alvarez, who
doesn't show up.
Yeah, we don't know how he looks at 170 pounds. And Luque's he's a big dude. So it's a lot of unknowns. If I was playing this fight, though, it would be fight ends by sub at plus 130. I think that there's value there. Certainly better than minus 600 on the Alvarez side or minus 600 on fight doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, I feel you.
Moving on to the co-main event in the bantamweight division, Davison Figueiredo taking on Montel Jackson. I guess, it's been a long time coming for Montel Jackson to get this shot, finally in a co-main event spot against a big name. I think he has so many athletic advantages here that he can really not even fight the most technical game plan and still be all right. Davison has been somebody who's really relied on his physicality in the past, especially at 125 pounds. And he's fighting somebody who's got it way more, drops more people than him. I mean, bigger, faster, stronger, younger. This is a pretty easy. I mean, the odds show it, at minus whatever 300, 280, whatever it is. Yeah, 300.
Right.
So yeah, I'm on the Montel Jackson side here, but it's Figgy, so you can't count him all the way out.
Right.
This is a layoff spot for me, but I think Montel Jackson is going to take this one, and I think this opportunity is coming at a good point in his career that he can put everything together and really showcase what he has.
Just like the last fight, man, you got a legend, former champion, and Figgy, and here he is in Brazil getting a hard fight, man. Like you said, longer, faster, stronger, more athletic, everything, man. And Figgy at his point is, I don't want to say it, taking 37, going to be 38 in December, coming off an injury in the Sandhagen fight. Already can't make his weight class he made a career in. And yeah, man, I watched his fights this week, and Cody's a guy who's made 125 before. And so Cody's not the biggest bantamweight. They kind of sized up pretty similar, and he got the grappling going, and it worked. And I watched the Cheeto Vera fight, and it's like, I don't know what Cheeto was doing, honestly, personally. I felt like Cheeto lost himself that fight more than Figgy won. Truth be told, and you said, it's hard to ever count Figgy out just because he's got all the accolades in the world. Former champ, stood across some of the division's best, and we've seen Montel grappled a couple times. Like, granted, Ricky Simone's a really dominant wrestler. Brett John, sneaky grappler as well. But that's how you beat Montel, and at bantamweight, that's how Figgy has won his fights. And so I don't want to just say the path is not there, but I think it's hard, and I think he's going to have to work hard for it. And I think at 38, the cardio might not be there to be able to work that hard. And so he's got a dangerous guy in front of him in the peak of his career. So I'm on the Montel Jackson side as well. I don't know. He honestly might get Figgy out of there. And then the main event, a fight I'm pretty passionate about. We got Charles Oliveira taking on Mateus Gamrot. I like Mateus Gamrot a ton. I've bet this guy a lot. I bet him in the Arman fight. I bet him in the Dan Hooker fight. I bet him in the Jalen Turner fight. I love a guy that has incredible cardio and relentlessly change takedowns like that. This is just a hard fight, man. He's taking it on relatively short notice, and I don't want to question his gas tank, but I think his style of fight, you need to be in peak condition. I don't think he's somebody that gets out of shape and out of fight camp or anything, but I think you need to be in peak condition to put together 25 minutes of hard grappling the way he does. And taking a fight on short notice may not allow him to do that. Another thing is, I think he's a bit chinny, man. When you see even the Ludovic Klein fight, man, the first jab he took buckles his knees. He loses the Dan Hooker fight because he gets hurt a couple times. The Rafael Dos Anjos fight, he's hurt. The Jalen Turner fight, it's a split because he's hurt. But Neil Dairouge sends him flying across the octagon. And I think Charles Oliveira is a nasty striker, nasty Muay Thai, comes forward with the forward pressure that makes the takedowns hard. Mateus Gamrot's back's going to be on the fence. Charles Oliveira's got a nasty calf kick. I think he's got the jiu-jitsu, the guillotine to threaten him. Charles Oliveira's the spot for me all day. 2 units at plus 100. I bet it like Sunday or Monday. I hate that he was just deaded by Ilia Topuria last time out. That's my one concern, is that maybe he's shot. But Gamrot's not a very dangerous fighter. And so Gamrot's going to have to really control Oliveira for a long portion of time and hope he doesn't get robbed, because all the big moments and things are going to be coming from Oliveira. And Gamrot's going to be put in a lot of bad positions here, I think. So Oliveira plus 100. I think he's already kind of flipped to a minus number behind his name. I think if you can get plus money on Charles Oliveira, he's 100% the side here, man. I don't know what you think about it. Hopefully it's the same.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm looking at minus 102 on Charles Oliveira. So, I mean, the line's still there. It's tough, man. Like, where is he at right now, especially coming off of that loss?
Yeah.
I was surprised to see how old Mateusz Gamrot was as well, though. We're only talking about a 1 year difference, but I certainly think a lot more fight miles on Charles Oliveira, just considering the amount of times he's been fighting and the amount of damage that he's taken over his career. So to get knocked out like he did against Ilya, another shot at the belt. Where's his motivation coming from?
Yeah.
Fighting in his home country. Obviously, that could be a pretty decent motivator. But Mateusz Gamrot, he's one of these guys where if he's in the correct amount of shape, he's kind of hell, dude. I thought he looked good against Ludovic Klein. In the Arman Tsarukyan fight, he wins rounds 4 and 5 against Arman Tsarukyan. So I know he has the gas tank. It's just the amount of preparation. And after dropping that split decision to Dan Hooker, maybe it was a wake-up call,
Yeah.
like that's just a fight where, like, when you dropped one to Dan Hooker, it's, you got to know you got to change up some stuff. And I think that he looked pretty good against Ludovic. Yes, all of the finishing upside is on Charles Oliveira. I think back to the guillotine that Charles had on Arman Tsarukyan. That's somebody who's going to take you down just this, not the exact same way as Mateusz Gamrot, but is going to get you to the mat. And, any less of a fighter than Arman Tsarukyan, and that choke's locked in.
Yeah.
Yes, Gamrot needs 25 minutes to do it, but man, I would not be surprised at all if he gets his hand raised after 25 minutes snooze fest of just single leg grappling and getting his head off of the center line and not getting guillotined.
Yeah.
So a pass for me right now. I'm hoping I like the confidence on your side. I'm hoping I can hear some more opinions that will convince me to be right there with you, especially even face-offs. I guess I'm curious to see how both of these guys come in physically, and then maybe I can make an easier decision. But it's a coin flip fight for me, and we're looking at coin flip odds, so I don't think there's personally an edge on it. So it's a pass for me. Gamrot, gun to my head, but I might switch. I might flip.
Yeah.
So
let's hope so.
Who knows?
Love it. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. That's all 12 fights we got. Make sure you do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys next week for UFC Vancouver, Allen versus RDR.
Peace.